So, as you guys may or may not have known, I've been rewatching Full House. I'm on season 7, so I will be doing a ranking video very, very soon. But I wanted to do like something a little bit different. I haven't done this like in a while, and this is dark theories of Full House, like dark fan theories of Full House. But before we get into the article, I do remember like there was a theory going around for quite a while that Michelle actually died in Full House after her falling off her horse and her head trauma. So if that's on here, I'll read like what it says and everything. But yeah, I remember that, and I'm like, why did somebody make such a terrible and sad theory? Like, I don't understand. I guess people are just cruel. But yeah, that's just one of the theories I wanted to talk about real quick. Like, they didn't really give much of an explanation because there isn't really one, because it's sad, you know? So let's just get into this. I love reading articles. It's so fun. So it says, Uncle Joey is the real father of the Tanner children. This is the first one. Go away. Notification. The whole idea behind Full House is that the recent widow Danny needs help raising his 3 girls. It was awfully kind of his BFF Joey to move in and lend a hand. Despite the fact that he's not related to the Tanners, why is he so invested? According to one Reddit fan theory by off Circodo Don, I don't know, I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong. It's because Uncle Jesse is their girl's real dad. The evidence is pretty alluring. All the Tanner girls have blonde hair, a recessive trait, but Danny has brown hair. What are the odds all their girls would be blonde if Danny was their actual father? You know who is blonde? Uncle Joey. But so is their mother. Their mother was blonde, so they probably got their mother's hair, so that could easily be debunked. Their mother had blonde hair, like you could see it in the videos of her. So I don't know if I believe that theory or not. It's a good theory, don't get me wrong, but I just don't believe it. The Tanners are stuck in purgatory. There's always going to be one of these theories. What if Pamela Tanner wasn't the one who died in that fateful car crash that caused the Tanner kids to grow up without a mom? What if Pamela Tanner was the only person who actually survived and her entire family is now sitting in a purgatorial San Francisco-style home? One fan theory by Redditor Dan, I'm sorry, I'm butchering these names, claims that the Tanners are actually in purgatory and that Michelle is secretly a demon entity who brought them together and kept them stuck them in between. According to the theory, Michelle is always the one who brings people back to the house and prevents them from moving on to paradise. She loves convincing Jesse to stay because she's sick, and there's also the fact that Gina's mom, Danny's potential love interest, mysteriously dies in a car accident. Why are Danny's potential love interests always disappearing? They can help him move on from Pam, allowing him to find the peace he needs to get to heaven, and Michelle can't have that. The evidence is stunning, and it's true that no one ever manages to permanently leave the home, except Michelle, who isn't present in the Netflix reboot. DJ doesn't go to college, and Jesse never moves out. The Tanners just haunt the house forever. That's a really dark, I can't talk. A really dark theory. I personally don't believe it, but let me know down below if y'all believe it. That was a really good theory, though. Oh, that's so crazy. Full House, Boy Meets World, and Sabrina the Teenage Witch all exist in the same universe. That is actually quite possible, I think. One fan theory alleges that the programs on the 90s TGIF lineup more or less exists in the same universe. It all starts with the wildly popular Family Matters, which was a spin-off of Perfect Strangers. I honestly didn't know that. I actually never watched Family Matters. Maybe I should do that for like a video or something. Family Matters has a crossover with Full House. It does. Wherein Steve Urkel appears on the San Francisco-based show. Family Matters also has a crossover with the ABC Family show Step by Step, which I've also never seen. Urkel accidentally shoots himself right into Step by Step's set with the jetpack. Step by Step has a minor crossover with Boy Meets World when Topanga meets Dana at Disney World. Boy Meets World then has a crossover with Sabrina the Teenage Witch, which I need to make that ranking video on Boy Meets World. But I do remember that episode where they cross over with Boy Meets World, like Sabrina the Teenage Witch crosses over with Boy Meets World. But I did not know that Dana was from Step by Step. I honestly didn't know that. If you make your way back through all these crossovers, Full House exists in the same universe as Sabrina, which means magic is totally possible and nothing makes sense anymore. I actually do believe this theory. It's not really dark, but I do believe this theory. Like, that is actually a really good theory. I like it. This is the one that I most likely believe because, yeah, I do remember the Boy Meets World crossover with Sabrina the Teenage Witch. And I do remember Urkel being on Full House. So, yeah, I kind of believe that one. Michelle doesn't actually exist. Here we go again. Michelle is noticeably absent from the Netflix reboot Fuller House. The most of us know it's because the Olsen twins have retired from showbiz. A large swath of the internet believes it's because Michelle never existed. The theory goes that Danny invented an imaginary daughter to deal with the grief he experienced after losing his wife. The YouTube channel Full House Without Michelle has made a number of videos with the youngest Tanner edited out to prove the point. Without Michelle in the scenes, it's clear Danny is having an emotional crisis, but it isn't clear why his family and friends reinforce the idea of his imaginary friends. I sort of kind of believe that a little bit. It does kind of make sense, but also, why would the rest of the family, it could be easily debunked because, like, why is the rest of the family, like, interacting with Michelle and, like, hugging her and touching her and tickling her and all this stuff? It just, part of it makes sense, but the other part doesn't because, like, personally, I believe she exists. So, but then again, like, you can look at it and be like, well, maybe she could be a ghost instead of just an imaginary friend. So who knows? Who really knows? Okay, Danny and Jesse are lovers. I actually ship them so hard, like, I really do, honestly. So it's not that far-fetched. This conspiracy theory starts way before the show aired in its first episode. It alleges that Danny and Jesse are lovers and that Danny married Jesse's sister to cover it up. The reasoning behind hiding their love was that it might hurt Danny's broadcasting career. The 90s were not very progressive in retrospect. It was better for his image to be a father and husband, an all-American piece of straight white bread. The theory alleges that Pam was in on the ruse. She actually had a relationship with Joey, who fathered the 3 Tanner girls. It's pretty suspicious that Joey and the Tanner girls are all blonde, while Danny is a dark brunette. This is also why Joey never has a steady girlfriend. He already found the love of his life. Danny later convinces his co-star to pretend to date Jesse as his music career takes off. Well, one part of me wants to believe this theory is true. I personally don't think it is because Danny was really hurting when Pam died, and again, you can debunk the theory of the children not being Danny's because their mom had blonde hair. The mom had blonde hair, so I just don't believe that entire theory. Like, I ship Jesse and Danny so hard, but I just don't believe this theory. Unless, like the producers or something come out and say, like, oh yeah, these theories are absolutely true. You got to take everyone with a grain of salt. Just saying. Jesse's original name was just a stage name. You can't deny that Jesse Cochran is a catchier name than Jesse Kasopoulos. I actually like Kasopoulos better, if I'm being honest. One theory alleges that the name change was a calculated business move. Jesse goes by both names because of one of them is his stage name. In the first season, Danny mentions Jesse's band, Jesse Cochran and the Rippers. It's later referred to as Jesse and the Rippers, so many fans may have missed it. The theory alleges that Jesse changed his name because he didn't think his real name was marketable enough. This is actually a common practice in the music industry. Beatles drummer Ringo Starr's real name is actually Richard Starkey. Sometimes the stage name just works better. While this could be true, I know what John Stamos has said. He wanted to incorporate his Greek name into the show, so that's actually why it changed, but that's a pretty good theory. I actually believe that. I actually believe that theory a little bit because it does make sense. But also, like John Stamos said, he changed Jesse's last name because he wanted his Greek heritage in the show as well. So you never know. This one could actually be like the most realistic one out of all these others so far. Fuller House is the Truman Show version of Full House. Fuller House Netflix Full House spinoff reboot gets pretty meta. While sitcoms tend to break the fourth wall or poke fun of sorry guys, I can't talk. So let me just start over. Fuller House Netflix Full House spinoff / reboot gets pretty meta. While sitcoms tend to break the fourth wall or poke fun at the tropes they use, few do so with such ferocity. According to a fan theory, this is because Fuller House is basically the Truman Show. The evidence starts with Jesse, who's played by John Stamos. Uncle Jesse mentions his work on General Hospital. In real life, Stamos was a serious regular. The gang also references the Olsen twins' booming fashion empire, which doesn't exist in the Full House world, but definitely does in real life. A few minutes later, Uncle Jesse remarks that all of them still look good. Why would he be poking fun at the original series if he was actually Uncle Jesse and not just an actor hired to play Uncle Jesse decades after his original performance? That's all from the first episode. That could make sense. I personally have never seen The Truman Show, so I don't know. I can't really comment on this one. Let me guys know. Have y'all seen The Truman Show? Do you think this theory has some basis or not? Please let me know down below. I don't really know because I've never seen that. The inconsistencies in Full House are because of time travel. There are plenty of inconsistency in Full House. Jesse's last name changes, and he's said to have both finished high school and dropped out. Additionally, cousin Steve is definitely not DJ's cousin since her father has a single childless sister. One fan theory from Redditor You Made Her Hug suggests that these inconsistencies occur because time travelers have messed with the fabric of the universe to inadvertently create changes in the Full House timeline. The theory checks out in a couple of ways. Steve Urkel makes an appearance on Full House, which means Family Matters exists in the same universe. I agree with that part. Along with Urkel comes a litany of his ridiculous sci-fi inventions, including the time machine he invents in the season 8 episode Father Time. The theory also suggests that Joey's identical cousin, Stravos, is either a future time-traveling version of Jesse or a parallel Jesse from an alternate timeline. They put Joey, it's actually Jesse. So, I really don't believe this one at all because, personally, I think it's just like the showrunners making some mistakes. Like, I've noticed some of the inconsistencies and stuff, so I just think it's because the writers forgot certain things. So, I don't believe this theory at all. It's an interesting theory. I don't personally like it all that much because it actually doesn't make sense. This next one, it says the Tanners are Jewish. The Tanners celebrate Christmas, but it's hardly the first time an American family of Jewish descent partook in the traditional Christian holiday. Sorry, I can't talk. One fan theory alleges that the Tanners are actually Jewish but non-practicing. According to the theory, Danny frequently uses Jewish idiosms, and it's entirely possible that Pam was Jewish and passed on these things but not the faith. I don't know. I'm not going to comment on that because I have no idea. Because this is like a sensitive topic and I don't want to offend anybody, so I'm just going to move on. It could make sense, but let me guys know what you think. Do you think the Tanners are Jewish? I don't know for sure. I honestly don't know. And these Jewish idiosms, sorry, I can't talk or pronounce stuff, that Danny is apparently using. I I never caught on to that, so I'm not real sure. Okay, I don't know. How I Met Your Mother was created as a prequel to Full House. Though Full House and How I Met Your Mother are decidedly different, they do have a lot of parallels. A conspiracy theory by Redditor You Beautiful Pop argues that How I Met Your Mother is meant to be taken as a sort of spiritual prequel to Full House. Danny Tanner is Ted. Fans of both shows know their senses of humor and personalities overlap. It's alleged that the screenwriter of the more recent series changed the number of kids as an afterthought, just because it wasn't an important detail, and it helped to create the two sitcoms. Still, all the children were young when the mother passed away, regardless of their biological sexes or how many of them exist. Honestly, that kind of makes sense. Like, again, I've never seen How I Met Your Mother. They're probably like, you haven't seen a lot of these shows. Yeah, I haven't. But that's because I've been like watching stuff that I've already seen like 1,000 times over and over again. Also, I prefer like cartoons and stuff. So that I actually kind of like that theory. I think that's a good theory, honestly. So who knows? The Full House is a living sinister creature. I can already tell you I don't believe this theory one bit, but I do think it's interesting. According to one zany fan theory from blogger Billy Superstar, the Full House home is alive and filled to the rafters with hatred. Prior to the start of the series, evil entities ruled the planet, and subsequently San Francisco. As human civilization grew, they shapeshift to disguise themselves as the normal, everyday things, including the labyrinthian Tanner home. Excuse me. These beings strive to control human minds, and only a few psychic people can resist their influence. The theory alleges that the house is what killed Pam after she gave birth to 3 children, the Lord's number, the body, the blood, and the Holy Spirit. As the series progresses, the home starts feeding on the people inside of it, and brainwashes Jesse, forcing him to change his name in an effort to weaken the Cochran family psyche. Danny degrades into a neurotic clean freight. The home is destroying the mind of the adults inside of it, and none of them ever leave. According to the theory, Michelle is the one who made the deal with the devil. She gets whatever she wants as long as she keeps the adults together. She starts forcing the adults to obey her by innocently preaching family love, basically the theme of the show. Judging by Fuller House, the Tanners may never escape. Okay, so again, I don't really believe that theory, but I think it's really interesting. So yeah, I just don't know. Like, honestly, I don't believe it, but whatever. So I found another little article, like I clicked on it. So we're just gonna get through some of these. And these 2 articles are from like the same people, so we'll just get into it. It says 22 dark fan theories about 90s sitcoms. Will Smith has been deceased the whole time in The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Will actually died in the fight on the basketball court in West Philly. The taxi driver is actually God who drives a rare cab. He takes Will to heaven, where he works out all of his issues with his wealthy aunt and uncle. Will only sees his mother and father on special occasions because that's when they come to visit his grave. That is, like, seriously dark. I don't know what to believe on that one. Like, I don't think it's true. I just think it's a sad theory and very, very dark. Carol and Susan planned on using Ross to have a child and friends. That could actually make sense. I believe this theory. And this is from Redditor, I'm going to butcher her name, Jerosi's Best Girl. I'm sorry, I mispronounced that. I don't know. Carol's pregnancy was an accidental. Her and Susan plotted to get pregnant without telling Ross. Carol and Susan were together for a bit while Carol and Ross were still married, and Carol finds herself pregnant with Ross's child in season 1. Yet, Carol finds out that she's pregnant just a few weeks after the divorce. Season 1, episode 2. And Carol and Ross obviously conceived the child before they filed for divorce. So in season 1, Carol was at least 3 months pregnant. Divorce takes a minimum of 3 months to be finalized, 6 months at the most. from the date of filing. So she must have known for at least a month prior. Adoption is and always has been pretty hard, and back then for a lesbian couple it would have been way harder. Okay, where was I? I lost my place. I'm sorry, guys. And perhaps maybe one of them wasn't on board with it, but still wanted children. You might say, what about artificial insemination? That can be pretty expensive, and Carol was going through a divorce at the time. So chances are that she was short on cash, and the success rate wasn't great. You might say, well, maybe Carol thought she was only putting on weight. She wouldn't have had her period for 3 months straight, at least. She obviously would have realized it a lot sooner. My guess is that she intended to get pregnant so she and Susan could raise the child. So taking all this info/evidence into account, what if before Carol divorced Ross, her and Susan talked about kids and came up with an idea to have Ross impregnate Carol? After that works, Carol tells Ross she wants a divorce. The plan works out, and 3 months later, season 1, episode 2, Carol tells Ross. I actually do believe that, honestly. Like, you could tell, like, they didn't. You could just tell, like, that makes a lot of sense. Like, they were definitely using Ross. Every member of Springfield is suffering from radiation in The Simpsons. I've heard this theory before, and I kind of believe it. From Redditor, I'm so fucking stupid, I'm sorry. From Redditor, Lunch Cautious 8781. The radiation from the power plant is slowly destroying the citizens of Springfield mentally. So look at the first few seasons of The Simpsons. Ralph actually shows borderline intelligence in some episodes. Ned is religious, but not overly so, and just about everyone acts differently from their final personalities. Later on, Ralph is shown as so stupid he honestly should not be left unsupervised for too long. Ned is so religious that it's his only real personality, etc. So what if the radiation from the power plant is slowly leaking, causing brain damage?